In keeping with my favorite things of 2024, today I'm doing my favorite decor finds. Hello, my name's Melissa. Welcome to Plants and Things, which are what plants and things. First, my favorite finds of 2024 is this bedside lamp, which I found in the clearance section of a hardware store. And that is as random as it sounds. I personally love looking at the clearance sections of any store, which usually contains the most random things that you're like, there's such a product, like what's going on? But sometimes you do find treasures, which I think might be a life lesson. But anyway, I really like this lamp. They did come separately. This wooden lamp stand did come separate to this shade. Both of them were marked down, though I didn't know that the shade was marked down, but I really like the shade. So they both were marked down, such that I think I got this lamp probably for half of what I would have gotten it in a normal store. I don't know why I'm saying a normal store. Like half what I would have gotten it if it wasn't in that clearance section. But of course, that section also has stuff where it's like they don't know what to do with it, or it might be like have slight imperfections. And the crazy thing, it's not even crazy. So about this lamp was the fact that it is, okay, right now it's a bit fixed, but when I got it, it didn't have this inside thing. There's an inside thing that you need to keep the shade in place, and so it didn't have that. And so the lampshade was like moving around, and it was very annoying, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I even almost dismantled the whole thing. I watched a couple of YouTube videos. I was trying to figure out what is wrong with this lampshade situation. So of course the lampshade wouldn't come all the way out because there's the light bulb, so it wouldn't come out, but it was like shifty. Anyway, then it one day it clicked that it's that thing that I need. So I had to buy the whole, I want to say socket, the whole socket situation, which then had this O-ring. It's not an O-ring, but basically that's the best way. It's like a threaded, it's not an O-ring, but it's a threaded little piece, and I will try to take it out and show you, but it's a threaded piece that fits in, and so now it works pretty well, and it doesn't have that wonky, annoying situation that it did. I love yellows. I'm sure you know. I love yellows color. So this lamp stand, this bedside lamp, why do I keep on wanting to say lamp stand? And I'm like, those are two different things. Of course, there's a lamp stand, but anyway, this bedside lamp fits really perfectly into my bedroom. And I also am one of those people who doesn't like the overhead light on. I like it's too bright. So this gives a kind of like nice ambiance to the room where I can still read though. Like it's providing sufficient light such that I can read. So I really like this lamp. It is the only bedside lamp in my bedroom, and it does provide sufficient light, like I said, such that I can read, but also it's like it is an ambiance. It's not just like bright harsh light where it's like get up. It's like, you know, softer lighting, which I really like. And of course that's because of the lampshade. I do think this lamp stand on its own would also be super cute, but then you'd have the problem of it like, then it would really just be harsh lighting, which I don't like. So I like this combo a lot. I like, it just fits into the room and the colors really well. One of the best decorating advice that I've ever gotten is that you should get stuff that you like, because then it'll fit in with the rest of your home. And I have found that advice to be true time and time again, as is evidenced by this lamp and how well it just fits into the rest of the room. Anyway, this bedside lamp is really cute and I really like it, and it's one of my favorite finds of 2024. The next item on my list is less a decor item and more of a furniture item, which, where do we draw the line between decor and furniture, since furniture is technically decorating your home? But anyway, it is this table in front of me right now, and it has been a whole saga to get to this table. This is actually my third table that I've had in this space. So I first had a table that I bought when I was like living in another place, and I really didn't I didn't full plan with that table, and I didn't do my neurotic. Usually I'm quite neurotic about like getting furniture items. I go to the store, I see it, I test it out. It's very like crazy. I'm like, oh, I want to see it, and I want to see it live, and I want to try and match it, and I want to sit on it, and it's a whole thing. But with that table, I was like, oh, I need a table, and I needed to be like small in this space, but I knew I was going to move to a bigger place, and so I got a foldable table. And as I think about that, I laugh because a friend of mine thought that I had gotten a foldable plastic table. But this was a foldable wooden table. Those ones that slide, and I'll try to put a picture if I still have one. But they slide and they fold. And it was a pretty table. It was a similar wood color to this one. But it did not have support at the ends of the table because the support was in the middle. And that annoyed me so much because you technically couldn't put heavy stuff at the ends. So you had to put stuff in the middle half, if that made sense. And so that was not good planning on my part. And it was quite impulsive. It was like, oh, I need a table, let me get a table. And so I got that table. And then at a point I decided, actually, I do not want this table is not working out. So I decided to get a desk, which again was not like proper thinking or planning on my behalf, because I love entertaining and having people over, and I was like, why are you getting a desk? Whereas because I live in a 1-bedroom apartment and the space is not huge, I needed a table for both like doing work and also entertaining people. So a dining room table was actually what I needed. But anyway, I just decided to get a desk because obviously I needed to work. I did need a table. I knew I needed a table. But even there, I wasn't thinking clear. I was just like, oh, I need a table. Anyway, I got a desk. And that was also a hot mess because then I couldn't entertain. And it was a desk with a drawer. So it was just a hot mess. This whole saga was just like one terrible decision making, one terrible impulsive decision making after another. Anyway, then I decided to, get rid of the desk. So I sold the desk and was like, I'm actually going to get the table that I have always loved. These legs, they called classic kitchen legs. I've always loved that, these like legs for tables. And there's a place, actually there are lots of them, that sell like I don't know whether they're handmade, so I should not fib and say they're handmade, but basically it's made to order tables that have these legs, and you can ask for particular sizes. And I knew I can't have a huge table in this space because the space is limited. But I then went and got that table because that is a table that I've always liked. I've always liked the layout of these tables, and it has like that old-timey, my grandmother's kitchen vibe, which I really, really like. And so in the end, in the third table, I got the table that I've always really ever wanted. And so, but that was also after much like planning and thought, especially because I had to think about how the chairs and the table go together, the space that the table was gonna live in. And I like went full neurotic, which I enjoy doing. I enjoy like looking at different colors, going to the store, looking at the thing, asking a million questions, taking measurements. So I did that whole thing, and that's where I got this table. And I really, really love this table. So this table, like I said, is made to order, and you do get it stained, and it is just a wonderful table. This is a smaller variety. I think it's like 120 centimeters by 90. So it is longer, wide lengthwise. Does that make sense? But yeah, it is a smaller table, but I thoroughly love this table. And with this table, I also got another furniture item, which is also on this list. Well, it's actually furniture items. It is the chairs that go with this table, which I am sitting on one of them. And so this is also a story of many chairs, because I always loved wingback chairs, which are the ones with the rounder, and I'll insert a picture, but they don't really make those. I haven't found any place in South Africa where they sell new wingback chairs. And so I decided to like find vintage ones on Facebook Marketplace, and they were so rickety and messy, and it was so annoying. I had this whole plan about how I was going to sand them. I even have a sanding machine because I was going to sand them, and I was going to re-stain them and do a whole thing. But the problem was that structurally they were not sound, which my expertise, as much as I would like to think of myself as somebody who can do a lot of things, my expertise were not great there. So anyway, I had to let that chair dream go. And then when I got the other table, I just got like an office chair. But then one of my favorite stores, which is called Cello, I found out that they were selling these chairs. And so I went to go see the chair, and I went and sat down on the chair, and it was a whole thing. And then the big part of this whole process was trying to match the colors, because I chose the stain of the table. So it was matching the colors and seeing, and then feeling like, because I do have a lot of wood. I do have a lot of wooden undertones, wooden vibes. I mean, this thing in front behind me. Why am I saying this? Bookcase in front of me is also very wooden. I do have a lot of woodens in my home. I wondered whether, would this work, blah 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 blah. Anyway, I ended up getting it, and I love them both so much, and they work so well. And the space is small, but they fit in so well with both the jungle over there and the bookshelf. And so this is my favorite. I'm not getting another dining table and chairs. I finally actually got what I needed, and now I can entertain people, and I have them over, and we can have dinner and sit around the table and kiki, and it's a good time. So all that to say, try to think long term. That's what I would say to my past self or younger me. Try to think long term. Try and also get the thing that you really want. Because sometimes I think in trying to be practical, you can get the thing that you don't want. And then like a short distance down the road, you're like, actually, I should have just gotten the thing that I really, really want. And so that would be my advice to my younger self. But anyway, we got here now, and I really, really love this, and I am thoroughly enjoying them. The fourth item on my favorite decor items of 2024 is this vase, which I didn't buy for myself, but a friend of mine thrifted for me, which I think is simply unique and wonderful. And I have been using it as a propagation vase of sorts. I really love this tiling detailing. I want to say it's tiling, but I don't think it's tiling. This whole like pebble and glass. I don't know whether any of those are the right words for that, but I just really like its uniqueness. I also really like the shape. I generally like less clean cut, and this actually makes me laugh because I was speaking to somebody the other day who said because they're an engineer, and they like lines, like cars must be clear-cut lines, not curved. And so I really like curves. I really like things that are curved, and like edges to not be just like straight and meet in right angles or sharp angles. I really, really like this, and I think a lot of planters / vases it is easier. I'm sure it is easier to make things that are straight lines rather than rounded edges and bulging, but I really, really like the round edges. So I like this shape, just generally. I like the shape. It provides a cute way to display my larger propagations. And when I got this vase, I did do a whole thing where I chopped up my mottled syngonium, and would you believe it, this is not the same one. This is a completely different mottled syngonium cutting batch, would we say? Anyway, it's a new batch of mottled syngoniums, and they are growing, and they do need to be planted because I am a bit scared that they're going to start growing the roots in here, and then the roots are just going to chill in there, and I'm not going to be able to draw them out, which is probably another con about having rounded edges at the bottom, which are like you have more stuff at the bottom, even for just a plant, is that it's more difficult to take out the roots, whereas when it's slanted that way, you can simply take the plant out. But I still am like, this is prettier though, less practical but prettier. So I really, really like this vase. It was like a random surprise, which I really, really love, and I'm simply thankful to have. It is one of my favorite deco finds of 2024. The last item on my list is also furniture. I think it's furniture. Anyway, it is one that's quite sentimental to me because I made it, and the making of this shelf, it is a shelf, it was another saga. Honestly, it was another saga. I didn't start the shelf in 2024. I started it possibly in 2023, maybe even before that, because I took a long break in the making of this piece of furniture. So one of my weird things is that sometimes I will just wake up and think I can do a thing. So I just decided, because I needed basically a shoe rack or like a shoe shelf for my shoes so I could place my shoes, and I just decided I am going to make a shelf for these shoes. Did I have tools? No. Did I have a workshop? No. Have I ever made a shelf before? Absolutely not. But I just decided I was going to do it, and I sat down and I sketched. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the shelf with wood. I looked at like the wood sizes that they have. So they have different lengths, but then the width was about, so I decided on like a 13.5 centimeter wood because that's kind of the size of my shoe. And then decided, I think when I started the project, it was only going to be 2 layers, but at a point it got to 3. I was going to make the skeleton structure with copper. Later on, a friend of mine asked me why I didn't actually just use plastic piping, which that would have been really helpful at the beginning because the copper costs were high. The cost of copper is high. The cost of making the shelf was really high. And I think this is the hilarious thing about doing DIY is it is more expensive to do DIY generally than to just buy something that's mass manufactured. Anyway, I decided, like I did my little sketch. I bought a copper cutter because I was like, okay, I need to cut the copper to size. So I bought a copper cutter. I bought some glue that ended up sticking to itself and I had to throw it away at a point. Anyway, I started assembling. So the hardware store where I buy the wood does chop the, not to like weird shapes, but they do chop it if you want 1 meter chopped in half or 1 meter chopped into thirds, which I did. I don't think it was 1 meter, but like whatever, I chopped it into thirds. And so that's what I got. And I got stain for it. This was much later. The staining process was much later because the main process of putting this all together was a lot. It was a lot. It was so taxing. It was really taxing. Anyway, I was putting it together, would fall apart. I had to like put in extra. So I think it started as like I was just going to make the shapes. And then I had to put in extra ribbing. And it was hilarious because I had to like keep on modifying it, getting more copper. I didn't even know how much I spent on this. I did not keep track of the costs. Anyway, it got to a point where I was just tired. I was sick and tired of this project. And I just put it all away. I just decided one day, I'm just going to put this all away. I'm done with this. And I was done with it. But I wasn't ready to throw it away. I just was like, you know what? I need to not see you every day. And so I put it away. Anyway, I decided to take a break, and I took a break from making the shelf. While on this break, I decided to do this woodworking intro class situation where they just show you how to work with tools because I wanted to learn how to drill, and I want to know how to do woodworking, you know. And I did learn how to drill, but I still very much do not feel qualified to drill unsupervised. I wouldn't attempt it at home. But anyway, I went to that class and I met this lady who runs these workshops, which are really, really great. And I then asked her, because I was like, okay, cool, I'm in the final stages. So anyway, I glued it. I decided to get back on the project, glued the structure together. She then said later on that probably using glue wasn't the best way, that I could have used a glue gun. Is it called a glue gun? Yes, a glue gun to glue it, because I just used like some strong super glue situation, and I was like, I'm just putting this together. And then I needed to drill the copper pipe to the wood, and so I asked her whether she would help me because I do not want to drill unsupervised. Like I was like, I'm not drilling unsupervised. Anyway, she said, come through. And because I had that deadline, I really work best when there are deadlines. But anyway, because I had that deadline, I then went and varnished the wood, because now, you know, the wood would be going on, and you know, finished everything that needed to be finished. I remember there was one night where I was like painting sides and wanted to go to sleep, but I was like varnishing sides, and like, because then you have to do one side and then you have to turn it, and my balcony is still stained from that situation. So anyway, then I went there, and then she got the clamps and she helped me with one, and then it was really super easy because then I could drill because I was supervised, and then I drilled and put it together, and the shelf is done. It is done, and I really, really like it. I really, really like it. It came out really well, and my shoes have a place to stay now because they were just like bunched up in the wardrobe together, and now they just like, you know, they can be free. And I also can put some plants on the top because, like I said, it might have started off as a 2-shelf situation, but it is a 3-shelf. Just wow. It is a 3-shelf situation now. And it has such sentimental value to me because, again, I did make it. And when people come over, they sometimes ask me to make it for them. And I laugh because I'm like, even without me trying to make a profit, without me trying to count labor, which I don't even know how I would count that because I was so on and off about this project, the costs were astronomical. The costs were astronomical. But that also might be due to the fact that this obviously was the first one that I was making. And I was like figuring it out as I was going along. Whereas now I would know exactly the things that work, exactly the things that don't. And perhaps like what ways the shelf could be made cheaper. But anyway, I'm still recovering from the making of that shelf. So I will not be making furniture for a while. Like I've toyed with the idea of making a shelf for my propagation bins, but right now I'm still recovering from making that shelf, which took almost 2 years, if not more. But you know what? It is done. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next time. Bye.